Good morning and welcome to Central Square Congregational Church United Church of Christ. We are here celebrating this morning our youth group that went on a mission trip last June. And so the youth will be leading the parts of worship and telling you all about our great adventures and thanking you for your support in our mission. When we go out into the community, we always truly live out our mission statement. And if you would like to read our mission statement with us, it is printed at the top of the bulletin. If we could all read that together. We are a Christian community of people who are reaching out to our neighbors at home and abroad, sharing our faith and our resources. So because we are still, here doing church things, we'll start our service today with announcements. If anybody has any announcements, they would like to come forward and share with the congregation.
Yeah, good morning. Next Sunday, the Outreach Committee will be collecting one of our 5 major collections for the year. It's called Neighbors in Need. The Neighbors in Need offering supports the United Church of Christ's ministries of justice and compassion throughout the United States. 2/3 of the offering are used by the UCC's Justice and Witness Ministries to fund a wide array of local and national justice initiatives and direct service projects. The UCC Justice and Peace Action Network continues its strong policy advocacy on work issues such as the federal budget, voting rights, immigration, healthcare, hate crimes, civil liberties, and environmental justice. Neighbors in Need also supports our American Indian neighbors in the UCC. 1/3 of the offering supports the Council for American Indian Ministries. Today there are 20 UCC congregations on reservations and 1 urban, multi-tribal UCC congregation in Minneapolis, Minnesota. These churches and their pastors are supported by the Council for American Ministries, and it's also an invaluable resource for more than 1,000 individuals, dozens of other tribes and nations who are members of other UCC congregations. As usual, I'm sure you will be very generous in your support. There'll be envelopes in your bulletin next Sunday, so we appreciate your support. Thank you.
I'm Connie Chandler from Outreach, and this is our final Sunday to collect for Hurricane Dorian. Should you wish to donate, you can do it through cash or check or online. Just memo it for Hurricane Dorian, and then it will go through us, through Church World Service, and Outreach will match up to $500 of your contributions. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jay. I'm the junior altar deacon. And next Sunday is World Communion Sunday. So if you could bring something to put on the altar that represents you or your beliefs, yeah, please do that.
Oh, and travel. Like something from travel around the world.
Yeah, that too.
Good morning. I'm Terry Reynolds, co-president of the Women's Guild. On October 2nd, this Wednesday, all the women of the church and any friends that you'd like to bring with you are welcome to come to our meeting. It begins at 6:30. It's downstairs in the fellowship hall, and it's a potluck supper. Can't miss that. So if you decide to come, you can bring either a salad, a main dish, or a dessert, and come and enjoy the potluck supper, and we will be beginning with our first meeting of this church year.
We have a typo in our bulletin this morning. Our choral introit this morning is not a junior choral introit, it's a choral introit with our senior choir. I also wanted to announce our book for this year. I'm Reverend Beth, the pastor here, sorry, Reverend Beth. Our book this year, our book study that our whole congregation is going to be reading together is called Canoeing the Mountains by Todd Bolsinger. And I read the first chapter and immediately was just blown away. This is going to be a great book for us to read, so I hope you'll join me.
Hi, my name is Daniel, and every week at 9 a.m. in the fireplace room, there's going to be a Praying with the Paper, which is led by Reverend Beth, where we just read over the paper and just pray on the topics that are that's recent. Yeah, but it was really interesting this week, and there was a lot of in-depth topics. If you just want to come, just go to the fireplace room.
Hey everyone, I'm Jess Stearns. I'm the Director of Christian Education here. I just want to remind you that this coming Saturday, the children are hosting an animal shelter charity drive. We're looking for non-clumping cat litter, paper towels, and canned kitten food. It's going to be in the Music Alley Saturday from 9 to 1. Thanks.
Now, as we are beginning to start things, if you would like to remember, please, to sign the fellowship pads that you'll find at the end of the pews, and pass them along the pews, and take note of the names of the people worshiping in the pews with you. If you are new or visiting and need a name tag, please indicate that you need a name tag. Or if you'd like a visit from Reverend Beth or a deacon, you can indicate that. This is a good way for us to communicate with the office. And with that, we will begin our worship with our choral introit.
Please rise if you are able and join me in the call to worship. Jesus offers a new old commandment. With the incredible power and the unfathomable depth of God's love for us, we must love one another.
And this is our love for one another, that the world will know whom and what we worship.
Come, children of God, let us worship and let us love one another.
A quick note on the hymn that we're about to sing, the chorus, we need to repeat those words twice.
Please join us in the prayer of invocation. Holy God, source of sovereign, put all power and authority in the hands of Christ. Christ who washes our feet in humble service through our worship today. Teach us to love one another as Christ has loved us, so that everyone will know that we are through Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Our gospel reading is First John chapter 13. Let me start that again. Our gospel reading comes from the book of John, chapter 3, verses 17 and 18.
But if anyone has the world's goods and sees his brother in need, yet closes his heart against him, how does God's love abide in him? Little children, let us not love in word or talk, but in deed and in truth.
Amen.
Oh, amen.
So last June, this group, and we had a few more who went with us as well, we traveled down to the eastern shore of Virginia, which is the area that is known for the Chincoteague horses, the wild horses that run around down there. And the area is very seasonal and migratory in the economy of the area. So there are lots of people that come down in the spring and summer to look at the lovely beaches and watch the horses run around. And so there are an awful lot of seasonal workers at the hotels and the restaurants that are there only really open in the summertime. And then the other main industry in the area are the Tyson and Purdue chicken farms. And so there are an awful lot of immigrant workers who come in and migrant workers who come through to work at those plants. And it is also a very agricultural area, and so there are a lot of seasonal workers who come in to harvest the crops and do some of that sort of seasonal work that is not sort of year-round. So the needs of the area are seasonal. And so there's a lot of great need for seasonal childcare. There's great need for seasonal, because as you can imagine, all of these are fairly low-paying positions. So there's an awful lot of need for support in soup kitchens and that kind of thing to help to support the area. So a lot of the work that we did was based in childcare and in other sort of niche needs that they have. One of the places that my group got to go was to the Manna Cafe. And the Manna Cafe is a mission that was started by a group of people who noticed that there were an awful lot of people who needed some place to go and get some food or have a chance to sit in air conditioning for a couple of hours. And so they started trying to come up with, a way. They were inviting people to come to this sort of soup kitchen and come get a free lunch, and nobody was coming. And they tried to figure out why didn't people want to go? And so they started asking people, like, well, why don't you come? And they said, no, we really don't want to do that. And they said, well, how come? And they said, because we don't want people to know we're poor. So they said, okay, so they changed their focus and started calling it the Manna Cafe and just said, come in and have lunch and community and, air conditioning and, whatever, and just started framing it around the idea of being a cafe as opposed to being free. It's free, but they were going to play up the cafe part of this. And so after they did that, their mission sort of exploded. The day that we were there, we served a record number. It was 584 meals that we served that day, and that was the highest number of meals they had ever served in one day. There are lots of the hotel workers who come over and have a quick lunch. There are a lot of people who live in sort of trailers or sort of low-income type areas that just want to go get cool for a little while because it's really hot in some of those areas. They have a little. It's kind of like a food pantry, but they have some things that were sort of laid out with a, take what you need if you need it kind of thing. And people from all over the community, from everywhere, come because they have really worked on making sure that they serve really good food. And remember the food that we had? What was it we had? You remember it was like pineapple chicken stuff. It was delicious. And then they make meals that they can send out. So we have links on our website, too, if people want to donate to support their mission, because they truly are working to support this community. So that was one of the things that we did. Another thing that we did was we spent, the kids club that the Youth Works group runs is very, very active in their particular area because there's a real, great need for childcare in the summertime. So that the adults can go do the jobs that they need to do and then have places for their kids to go. So we did a lot of work with the Kids Club, and there was also the Agape Child Care Center, which is sort of a nursery school, a Christian nursery school. So they do Bible stories and along with, their sort of, early learning early learning child care things. And so we went and helped them fix up their playground a little bit and just do some, help interact with the kids. So those are the two things that some of us did, and then Rob's group went with a couple of
some of the other things were a little surprising. One of them to me was we got to work in a brain injury center, which I think myself and nobody else had really been exposed to something like that before. The interesting part about this is, people are familiar with brain injuries and might, have seen things, but This center here was all about treating, therapy, and keeping folks involved. And one of the things that really struck me and several others there was that one of the gentlemen who goes to the Brain Injury Center used to be a botanist before he experienced his injury. And so what happened was, when he was introduced to us, he proceeded to spend most of our time during one day literally bringing us over in groups and individually to the trees that were planted in this area, which he supervised the whole thing. And he knew the names across the board and where they came from. And when you had a conversation with him, it took a little while, but then you realized how much was in that brain, and it was just injured and a difficult time to bring things out. And I think that it kind of raised our awareness to what goes on in those places and the miracle that happens there. And then the other thing that was we worked on also was the Lighthouse transitional housing. And transitional housing is where folks will end up going after they've gone through their treatment, and it provides an environment for people who are trying to recover from their addictions. It gives them support, it gives them the environment where everybody encourages each other. And so what we got to do there was, the ladies' half of that was already open and functioning and all very well. The men's side, we got to do some rehab work, which really included mostly painting and all, and we all improved and enjoyed our painting. Oh yes, but prior to us being there was the group before us who actually prepped everything for us, doing all the cleaning and making sure everything was immaculate, although there were some dirty brushes there that we had to deal with afterwards. So I think that maybe you might have... Yeah, well, you forgot to clean the brushes. So we did a lot of work in there. And one of the things there that really struck me also was, out in front of this, you'll see the pictures, was a gigantic cross, which also needed painting, which we were able to do. And so it just, to me, brought the message of Jesus home to that activity also. So it was pretty huge. Anybody have some other memory on that you wanted to bring forward, other than all the cleaning? It was a lot of fun, and we did a lot of good things. So did I miss anything with that, Ian, that you wanted to?
Well, I think we're going to pass the microphone down and have the youth say something. So they may be adding stories of their own as we do that. So
I was going to go into, too, on the way over, on the way down to Virginia, we handed out some questions, a few questions which would end up, when they're answered, would sum up some of the things that about the trip and what was important to everybody who got involved on the trip. And so we handed them out on the way down so folks could take a look at them and see what was being asked. And then on the way back, on the long trip back, everybody came up with their answers. I have to tell you, to this day, I read them and I'm just absolutely, it is absolutely incredible, the answers that came out. And you are going to hear, that's what we're doing today, we asked everybody to pick out a question that meant the most to them and their response so they could share it here today. And the questions were, first one was, what impressed you the most about this year's mission trip? The second one is, did you learn something new on this trip with respect to serving others? And then the third question is, if you were speaking to another person, youth or adult, about why mission work is important, what would you say to that person? And so here are some of the responses.
I'll tell you the story. Okay. So Brinley doesn't want to tell you this story, but this is a great story. So, yeah, you'll tell him? Okay.
Why not? Okay. So at the daycare, there's this one little kid, Gustavo, that my brother had on the first day, and he was telling me how he's like kicking him, like punching him, and running around, just not listening whatsoever. And then on the last day I had him, I got him to like sit down quietly, and he painted for me. And he painted like pictures for me, and he's telling me all about his home and his pets, and just like sitting down.
This was the biggest miracle of the week.
Yeah. It really was. No one could control him. So yeah, it was pretty good. I did. Yeah. Yeah. And then my answer for the question, what impressed you most about this year's mission trip, is how like in 1 week, even like people like you didn't know or anything, you all became like best friends in like 1 week just to help a community, and that like really impressed me.
All right. My favorite question was, if you were speaking to another person about why mission work is important, what would you say to that person? Okay, so I said serving the community wherever we go not only like impacts someone else's life, but it'll also have a huge impact on your life. Yeah, that's what I got out of that.
So what impressed me most about this year's mission trip was not only how close we were with our own church, but with other churches. Like, we made a lot of friends this year, which was different from last year, so that was really good.
For the question of if I was speaking to another person about why mission work is important, I said, it's actually a quote from Rob over here down on our trip. He said, "A good deed is good because it not only makes the receiver feel good, it also makes the giver feel good as well." And I think that's important because while we're helping other people, we're also enriching our lives on the way.
So my favorite question was, what impressed you the most about this year's mission trip? And I said, the conditions that people lived in, how they were still happy and like their community.
What impressed me the most about this mission trip was that all the youth really connected and got to know each other.
I said, did you learn something new on the mission trip to respect to serving others? I said, be open to trying new things because you never know what you would like and what you wouldn't like, so put yourself out there no matter what anyone thinks.
Something new that I learned on this trip was that sometimes all you have to do is listen to someone to help them. It doesn't always involve physical labor.
So obviously we have an awesome group of youth on the mission trip that we were actually, I was absolutely floored by the answers. I thought they were great. And the reason that I think I was so much is because when you watch these folks in action, you realize everything is so genuine. They are so filled with the Spirit, and they do so much good work. So we're going to do a presentation with some of the pictures. We had so many pictures and so many videos that we took. It was very difficult whittling things down to the ones that we're going to use. Beth put, I can't tell you the number of hours into putting this presentation together, and it came out right in line. It was really nice. On the computer, it looks great. On the screens here, it looks okay up there. We will run this again downstairs if anybody wants to see it clearer, but it does come out pretty good. But even if it came out perfect, one of the things that is so incredible when you're with the group and you watch folks interacting is you get that moment, and there are several of them, where everybody comes together like you've never seen people coming together before. And I understand that to be, that is when God's Spirit is centered right through you. And if you look at how close everybody came together, you know how strong God was and how God was affecting everybody and making everybody feel great. And like a National Geographic picture of the Grand Canyon, the pictures cannot do it justice, no matter how good they are. It is just incredible. So as you go through the show here, please take a look and try to just do a careful look at that and imagine yourself there, and go from there. Oh, we got to turn it on up here. I think it's on.
I don't know. It's not on.
Hit it again?
Hit it.
So hit
We're
it.
going to sit down here now so we can watch the...
I don't know.
It's flashing. We're having technical challenges like you wouldn't believe this morning, so.
Well, we're going to sing the hymn. You do that after the hymn, too, so you can just be ready to jump up at a moment's notice, Chris.
That's Gustavo.
Making stuffed animals, so these boys can sew, just so you know. And we did have some free time, so these are some local attractions. And then the girls part there, we shopped one day for school supplies, and a lot of people contributed to that. The last night we were at Shincoteague Island. I don't know if you see our beauties in the lower right.
The sunset there was absolutely awesome, too.
Incredible.
We took about 2,000 pictures of that.
We always do a farewell breakfast, and then the end.
Do you want to do this, Rob? Do you want to introduce the hymn, or you want to? So we would like to share with you one of the hymns that we sang. This is, the words are printed in the bulletin. We're going to try to figure out how to get the sound going here. That's our biggest technical difficulty today has been with the sound. So we're going to play the hymn. If you'd like to sing along, we're going to sing along.
Everyone needs to hear.
So to end our little presentation here, we're going to leave you with one of the thoughts of one of our youth leaders, Nathan McDermott. He's been with the mission trip for a while, but he couldn't be here today. So we're going to read one of his answers to the questions we had earlier. So if you were speaking to another person, youth or adult, about why mission work is important, what would you say to that person? And Nathan said, no matter who you are or what you do, you can still stop to serve other people. Thank you.
So now's the moment in our service where we take time to share our concerns and celebrations with one another and just have a moment of meditation and pray together. So if anybody has any concerns or celebrations to share, please raise your hand. And
Hi, I'm Christine Compton. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's prayed for Max. He's doing great, as you can see. And we have an appointment tomorrow morning, so hopefully we get good news.
I'd like to share prayers or ask for prayers or what a celebration. benediction. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
So when we see the miracles that happen every day, and we see the miracles everywhere that we go, every day where we get spoken to by God, and we realize that He's there with us, guiding us and helping us. And within this church, this is where we all come together and able to share that and grow that. And so at this time, we offer up our offerings to God and give thanks. So the morning offering will now be received.
join me in the unison prayer of thanksgiving. Holy One, blessed are you who entrust to our care all of creation. Through our tithes and offerings, we return to a proportion which you have given us. May they be a means of serving you in the mission to which you have called us. Through Jesus Christ. Amen.
Our closing hymn is number 2, Glory, Glory, Hallelujah.
Yourself and others. We are all children of chance, and none can say why some fields will blossom while others live beneath the August sun. Care for those around you. Look past your differences. Their dreams are no less than yours. Their choices in life no more easily made, and give. Give it in any way you can of whatever you possess. To give is to love, to withhold is to wither. Care less for your harvest, therefore, than how it is shared, and your life will have meaning, and your heart will have peace. Depart in peace.